has given it a name coffin corner state. It may take a very, very long time to revive economy. Growth will have to be compromised. The European economy suffered because meeting on 26th of August at Jackson Hole by top-notch economists and the top-notch bankers, Fed chairperson has actually given a very, very stock warning. They said that the economy is in a very, very dire situation at this point of time. In fact, the general manager of Banks for International Statement has given a very, very different term to the economy at this point of time, and he's compared with a term in aviation called coffin corner. He's given it a name coffin corner. The delicate spot when an aircraft slows to below its stall speed and cannot generate enough lift to maintain its altitude. That means he's saying that economy at this point of time is in a grave state. It may take a very, very long time to revive economy. Let's discuss the factors. And you must have seen today our market, Indian market, particularly Nifty, opened 375 points down, gap down opening. So what does it imply to our economy? What will happen to our economy? Will it slow down? Or what will happen to the kind of growth that we saw over the past 30 years? In fact, the Fed chairperson, Jerome Powell's speech has been analyzed by top central bankers at length, and consensus is that his message was that interest rate in US would remain higher for longer. There is no question of a pivot as the market has been expecting. So it's a very, very important point to be noted that he is expecting the inflation to remain in US for a longer period of time. And that is why this rate hike, which was never a phenomenon in US, is not going to be there for a longer period of time. The most important part of the Powell's speech was restoring price stability will take some time and requires using our tools forcefully to bring demand and supply into better place. Reducing inflation is likely to require a sustained period of below trend growth. That means at this point of time, to control inflation, growth will have to be compromised. How will it be compromised? Because to control inflation, the Fed rate has to be increased. When the rate will be increased, the common man will be pinched, even some businesses will suffer. That means that there will be an effect on the demand and supply. He says while higher interest rates, lower growth, and the softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they will also bring some pain to the households and businesses. These are the unfortunate cost of reducing inflation. But a failure to restore price stability would mean far greater pain. That means it is important. It's just cannot be avoided at this point of time to control inflation. The first priority is to control inflation. That is what has been deciphered from the speech of Mr. Jerome Powell. A very, very important statement. In fact, first time from the Powell's speech, it has been deciphered that he's seeing the pain for economy, he's seeing pain for the common people and the households. Austin Cartson, who's the general manager of Bank of International Settlements, warned in his speech at Jackson Hole for a far more dire outcome of economy. He said that we may be approaching what in aviation is called the coffin corner. The delicate spot when aircraft slow so below its stall speed that it cannot generate enough lift to maintain its altitude. That means probably economy will take a long time to lift its current scenario. So the question comes, why such a thing has been being discussed? Like why is it such a dire state is being predicted for economy? So Cartson said that the tailwind that propelled the growth of the global economy in the last 3 decades, which was global stability, favorable demographics, and the rise of free markets, privatization and deregulation, open trade, globalization, and production and finance, and technological advances. Globalization and technology pushed the cost down, while all these factors also expanded the market. The upshot was lower inflation. Now, if you see the current scenario at this point of time, there is no global stability. We've seen, one after the other events are happening. First, it was COVID, which just, kind of destabilized the entire world's economy. Then it was Russia-Ukraine war. Then there is again tension between China and the other different countries. So there is no geopolitical stabilization. That's the first point. Taking these points, these changes into account, Katzen said, a key challenge I see is that even if the specific supply disruption caused by the pandemic and the war fade, the importance of supply side factors for inflation is likely to remain high. This is because the global economy, seems to be on a cusp of a historic change, as many of the aggregate supply tailwinds have been kept. A lid on inflation looks set to turn into headwinds. If so, the recent pickup of inflationary pressure may prove to be more persistent. So very, very important point to be noted, there are many factors that happen. One is that there is the scarcity of labor, local labor, and then supply chain. Supply chain has been disrupted in many parts of the world. The first supply chain disruption happened due to the pandemic, when the goods could not be transported from one country to the other country. Then the second disruption happened because of the Russia and Ukraine war. First, damage was done to the European countries, where the natural gas supply, which basically major supplier to natural gas to European countries is from Russia, and some part of it also goes from Ukraine, and which was actually damaged. This supply chain was damaged, and as an effect, the European economy suffered because a lot of industries suffered because lack of natural gas supply. And then after that, sunflower oil, wheat supply, cotton supply, a lot of supply has been disrupted. The basic supplies required for the industries to run has been disrupted, and that has become now like when there is a load supply and demand is going to be high, the inflation is going to become high. So that is how the world is going through the economic inflation at this point of time, and there could be a possible recession also seen in the coming years. So Katzen was not the only one. Even the deputy managing director of IMF, Geeta Gopinath, also said in her presentation that the existing economic models cannot explain the inflation surge. She identified three risks to aggregate supply in the medium term: uncertain labor supply, disorderly climate transition, and disorderly global supply chain restructuring. She added that the risks are more acute for emerging markets. So I think there is all over concern. It's just not that the Indian economy or the US economy or the European economy is under stress. In fact, the entire world is experiencing the stress at this point of time. We all know at one euros used to be always more expensive than dollars. But today, when we stand, euro is cheaper than dollar. Dollar has surpassed the value, like $1 is somewhere around 80 rupees and 1 euro is about 79.3 rupees. That means the value of euro has devalued further. So there's a concern in European market, European economy, right? And it goes without saying, American markets are definitely under stress. So as the April 2022 IMF's World Economic Outlook said that the fracturing international relationships could also undermine the trust and cooperation vital for addressing long-term structural changes, including climate change, debt resolution, and trade barriers. If this risk materializes, the global economy will likely to suffer through an unpredictable transition to a new political reality, with financial volatility, commodity prices fluctuations, and dislocation of production and trade along the way. So it's very, very important to know at this point of time, as the supply chain has been disrupted, the commodity prices will be very volatile. For example, if there is a scarcity of crude, the price of crude is going to become exponentially high, and that is going to affect the economy. So when there is a volatility in the commodity market, it's going to reflect in the entire stock market as well. In fact, it's going to reflect in the entire world's economy as well. So what IMF has predicted, that there will be volatile commodity market, and which will lead to volatile stock market, and which will lead to the unstable economy. So these are very, very deep factors which you should know. You may find this video a little boring, but I would say it's going to be one of the very important video as far as the entirety of the market is concerned. So in short, the warning from the Jackson Hole conference is that the global economy is likely to have a long period of slower growth and higher inflation ahead of it. So the warning is not new. At a European Central Bank forum last month, Powell had said, if what we see is a redivision of the world into competing geopolitical and economic camps, and a reversal of globalization that sounds like lower productivity and lower growth, that's a possible outcome, and probably a likely outcome. So what it simply indicates, in coming days there could be lower growth, and to lower the inflation we have to lower the growth, and as an effect the economy may slow down to quite an extent, and the kind of growth we have seen in 30 years we may not be able to see in the coming 10 years. A longer period of time will be required to uplift the economy, the pace of economy, the stance of economy, the stance of businesses. So there may be a slowdown that you may expect in the economy right now. As far as Indian economy is concerned, definitely a slowdown can be seen in all the big giants, or even the small businesses will experience the pinch of slow growth. So remain cautious in the market. That's what the whole purpose of this, making this particular video, is. Remain cautious, and it's not that you can't make money when the economy is slow down. You can always sell options and make money in both the directions. When the market is going up, or market is not doing anything, in every scenario you'll be able to make money. And I'm going to start a series where I will be building my portfolio on TCS, TCS and many more such good companies, by starting with 5 lakh rupees and doing my um, regular option selling and generating consistent income. So I'm going to be shortly sharing my plan about TCS journey, TCS portfolio wealth built up story soon. Stay tuned, like, share, and subscribe if you like the content that I'm making for you, and keep learning and keep earning in the Indian stock market and even in the international stock market. Bye bye. See you in the next video.